Hello everyone. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for telling my mother-in-law it's not my fault she married a deadbeat and to figure it out? So I'm 25 and my husband is 28. We just had our first baby 4 days ago. I've just been released from the hospital yesterday. My MIL is bombarding my husband with calls because she's old and sick and wants him to take care of her. My husband took 2 weeks off work to stay home with me and the baby to care for me after the C-section and bond with our daughter. MIL took that as him being free and available and refuses to acknowledge that he's not on vacation. It hasn't been easy. There were complications and I lost a lot of blood. I'm in a lot of pain to the point where I can't even stand up on my own. Our baby is very fussy and crying a lot. We're not really sleeping because she literally cries every hour. The first time MIL called was literally 3 minutes after I gave birth and wanted him to go to her because she wasn't feeling well. She kept calling every hour when I was still in the hospital. My husband stayed with me the entire time because, like I said, I lost a lot of blood and wasn't feeling well. He put his phone on D&D and didn't turn it on until I was discharged. We were still in the hospital parking lot when she called. He answered, and when he explained the situation, she lost her absolute mind and he ended the call. She hasn't stopped calling him and he blocked her number last night at 4 a.m. after 73 calls from her. She started calling me this morning and I tried to be polite, but after 15 calls between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. where she called me names, yelled at me, and insulted me, I snapped and told her to leave us alone because we have a newborn at home. She said she doesn't understand why he can't go to her because her husband never took care of her after she gave birth and wasn't really involved with the kids until they were 3 to 4 years old. And I told her it's not my fault she married and had kids with a deadbeat and to leave us alone and figure her own shit out like an adult. My husband is on my side, but we're obviously biased considering the amount of stress we're under at the moment, so I'm asking because I don't know if it's just the stress and the hormones and we're actually the problem, or she is out of her mind to expect my husband to leave me alone at home in this condition. I'm posting here because I need unbiased opinions. I feel like an ass for what I said, and even if it's deserved, I shouldn't have worded my frustrations better. Edit to update quickly, she's officially blocked on all channels. My husband sent her a long and detailed email informing her of our decision to go no contact and the reasons behind it. She was also told that if she continues to try to contact us in any way, we will be going to the police for harassment and look into getting a restraining order against her. She responded that it wasn't fair and said, "Is that bitch making you do this?" So yeah, she's banned from our lives indefinitely. My dad and FIL will be coming to stay with us 1 week each just in case she decides to show up to our home. Me and baby are doing well. I'm writing this while breastfeeding her. She eats like a champ. Hubby is sleeping right now. He was up all night with the baby so I could sleep because I was barely keeping my eyes open. What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for making my husband's family leave after they showed up with an extra guest? My husband, 36M, and I, 34F, recently hosted a small, intimate dinner at our home for his family. We carefully planned everything, seating arrangements, food, and even table settings since it was meant to be a cozy evening with just close family. We invited 8 people, his parents, siblings, and 1 cousin. I took extra care with the menu because I have severe food allergies to nuts and shellfish. I cooked everything myself to avoid cross-contamination, and my husband helped plan the dishes accordingly. Since it was a sit-down dinner with a pre-planned meal, it wasn't the type of gathering where you could just add another plate last minute. An hour before dinner, my MIL texted me, saying she was bringing my husband's aunt, her sister, because she was in town and had nowhere else to go. I was immediately uncomfortable. This aunt has mocked my allergies before, saying she doesn't believe in all that nonsense and even once tried to convince me to just take a bite of a dish containing nuts because she thought I was exaggerating. I texted MIL back, politely but firmly, saying, "I'm so sorry, but we don't have extra seating or enough food planned for another guest. I hope you understand." She didn't respond. Instead, she just showed up with the aunt anyway. When I opened the door and saw her standing there, I felt my stomach drop. MIL was all smiles, acting like nothing was wrong, and said, "It's just one more person. We'll squeeze in." I reminded her that we didn't have enough food, and more importantly, I didn't feel comfortable having someone who has disrespected my food allergies at my dinner table. My husband's aunt laughed and said, "Oh, don't worry, I won't poison you," in a sarcastic tone. She then turned to my husband and said, "Is she always this uptight?" At that moment, something inside me snapped. This wasn't just about the extra guest, it was about the complete disrespect for my boundaries and health. I turned to my MIL and said, "I told you we didn't have room for another person, and yet you still showed up. I don't appreciate being ignored in my own home. If you can't respect that, you're welcome to leave." Silence. Then MIL's face turned red, and she said, "Are you seriously kicking us out over one extra plate? This is beyond rude." My husband's siblings jumped in, calling me dramatic and ungracious, saying I could have made something extra or just dealt with it. But I stood my ground. I told them that I wasn't okay with my boundaries being ignored, and if they couldn't accept that, they didn't have to stay. At that point, my MIL scoffed, grabbed her purse, and stormed out. The rest of the family followed, grumbling about how I ruined dinner over something so small. My husband didn't say much during the argument, but after they left, he told me he understood my frustration but thought I could have handled it more tactfully instead of outright telling them to leave. Now, his family is furious with me, saying I was cold, inhospitable, and made a scene over something trivial. MIL even called my husband later, saying she was hurt that we chose to humiliate her over something so minor. My husband still supports me, but he also admitted he wishes I had handled it differently to avoid this huge rift. So, am I the bad person for refusing to accommodate an unexpected guest and making them leave when they ignored my clear boundaries? What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for telling my roommate to move out after she risked my life to prove a point? I 25F have two roommates, Jenny and Abby. Jenny started noticing her food going missing and blamed us both. I didn't eat any of her food, so I wasn't super worried. Yesterday, Jenny called a roommate meeting, and when we were off work, she sat down and told Abby she wanted to be paid back for the food that's gone missing. Abby started arguing and saying it wasn't her, it was probably me. That's when Jenny said it couldn't have been me because she was putting nuts into her food and in her stuff, like food that doesn't even make sense to have nuts in it, because I'm severely allergic to them. She said I couldn't have done it because I'd be dead. She said it all proud like she got Abby, but I literally felt sick. I could have died. Like genuinely died. An EpiPen isn't a cure, you still have to go to the hospital and it's bad. Also, it's really expensive to replace them. Like for $30 of food, she was willing to risk my life. She and I argued, and she said she knew it wasn't me, so that's why she did it, but I don't believe her. I told her to move out, and now both Abby and Jenny are mad at me. But it's my life. It's my name on the apartment. I'm fairly certain I'm justified in kicking her out, but I'm double checking. It feels absolutely insane that I could lose a friendship of 4 years to something that wasn't even my fault. Abby is pissed at me and says I'm overreacting, but she also doesn't want to move out, so she's at least somewhat on my side. Jenny is angry and not speaking to me. I told her she has 30 days to get out of my place *. Edit, since it keeps coming up, I should clarify. Nuts are allowed in the house, but not on any of the shared dishes, like pots, pans, utensils, or anything else. If they got takeout, then that's fine, or use their own plates and forks and such. I'm not sure exactly how many dishes she's put nuts on and in because she is still no longer talking to me. But she said she used peanut oil to cook a pizza, so she did use some of the pans, so that's already grounds to get kicked out. My dad said I can stay with him for the rest of the 30 days and promised to completely replace all the dishes in my kitchen just in case. We're going shopping tomorrow for new things. And I know it will disappoint some people, but I'm not kicking Abby out. At least not yet. I know she's a thief, but it's honestly not that big of a deal to me. Can't wrap my head around that story. What do you think? Who is in the wrong there? Let us know down in the comments section, and let's move on to our last case. Case 4. Am I the bad person for leaking fake baby names to family? My husband and I are expecting our first child, and we did something to have some fun with annoying family members who wanted to name our child for us. The issue started a week after we announced, and some relatives on either side were suggesting names. Then a few members of our families, MIL, SIL, BIL, my aunt and uncle and my 2 sisters, decided we'd name a daughter Elizabeth or Cassandra, and we'd name a son William or Patrick. We told our families we weren't taking name suggestions and to stop acting like they can tell us what to name our kid. We were told the names mentioned were good solid names and it would prevent any weird tragic names that people these days choose. My husband came up with the idea to have some fun with names and start leaking some names we won't use. This meant commenting on random FB posts with a name and acting like we were going to use that. Or photoshopping photos with baby items that had other names on them. Stuff like that. We used some out there names. One my husband even heard from TikTok, Cuntley. Another was Dickie. Sprite was another. It annoyed the relatives it was intended to. But then another relative spoke up and was like, why would they waste money on stuff with the name if they change it a week later? And then the relatives realized. They were like, why would you do it? And we told them they were annoying us and we were having some fun since they were so insistent on the names. They said it was childish. My husband pointed out they were the ones who childishly believed they could name our child for us. Other family members found it hilarious. But are we assholes for doing this? You've sat down, you've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it gonna be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.